Introducing Research Methodology 2025, your ticket to mastering research, brought to you by the Center for Learning and Teaching at Foreman Christian College University in collaboration with National Academy of Higher Education at the Higher Education Commission and the United Board. This isn't just another course. It's built around the renowned Vitae Researcher Development Framework, covering everything from deep subject knowledge to personal effectiveness, professional standards, and real-world impact. We are immensely grateful to our experts who have graciously offered their time and expertise in the spirit of knowledge equity. These experts are among the leading voices in their respective fields. And yes, it's 100% online and totally free, wherever you are in the world. Whether you're a postgraduate, early career researcher, or simply passionate about better research, this course is for you. Join us and be part of a movement for knowledge equity. Sign up now and unlock your research potential.
Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Center of Learning and Teaching at Foreman Christian College University, I'm delighted to welcome you all to today's webinar. Today, we are going to talk about research writing in the humanities. Now, overall, we have systematically explored different phases of the research process in this series of webinars. We started this journey by talking about theoretical dimensions, so that you can understand how to position your research. Later, we explored using library resources and technology to improve the workflow. We also explored methods of reviewing the available literature and ways to ensure research ethics during this process. We also dissected different types of research methodologies, including quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods. Finally, we have reached the 6th module in this series. And in this module, we are going to talk about the dynamics of writing for different disciplines. Academic writing can be different from other forms of writing. So starting today, we are going to explore different dynamics of academic writing. Today, we are focusing on humanities. In the second webinar that is also scheduled today, we are going to talk about academic writing in the field of social sciences. And lastly, we will have a session on academic writing in the field of natural sciences, followed up by a special webinar for all of you to understand how to write for research, grants, and proposals. So I've just given you an overview of the upcoming webinars. Today, we are talking about humanities, and we have two esteemed resource persons to lead this webinar. We have Dr. Wasim Anwar and Dr. Fatima Sayyeda with us. Let me briefly introduce both of them. Dr. Anwar is Professor of English and Director at International Center for Pakistani Writing in English at Kinnaird College, Lahore. Earlier, he served as the Dean of Faculty of Humanities and the Chairperson of English Department at Foreman Christian College and Government College University. He was awarded the prestigious Fulbright Scholarship twice in his academic career, once for his PhD and later for postdoctoral fellowship. He also served as the president of both the PAK US Alumni Network and the Fulbright Alumni Association in Pakistan. He is the founding editor-in-chief of JELS, which is Journal of English Language and Literary Studies. Now, due to time limitations, I will stop here because this is just a brief introduction to Dr. Wasim. I can go on sharing the list of awards and his achievements. Our second resource person is Dr. Fatima Sayyeda. She is a professor and chairperson of English Department at Foreman Christian College University. In this role, in addition to regular dedication to teaching and research, she also leads annual international conferences, and she's actively engaged in linguistic mining using modern digital technologies. Without further delay, I would like to welcome Dr. Wasim Anwar and Dr. Fatima Sayyeda to lead this session. In all, you would have 45 minutes to cover the content, and the last 15 minutes will be dedicated for question and answers with the audience. Now, before you share your presentation, Gohar Ayub is going to quickly take you through the netiquettes, and then we will start the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mavish. I quickly go over the netiquette. So you're all requested to please rename your Zoom accounts to the name of your university first, and then your name afterwards. Furthermore, please note that the chat will be disabled for the first 30 minutes, 30 to 35 minutes, and then we'll enable the chat. And you're requested to please be mindful and sensitive about while you're using the chat, and please restrict your questions only for this related to the session. Regardless you're joining through YouTube or through Zoom, you are all requested to please fill out the certificate form. We have shared the form already, and we'll be sharing that every 10 minutes into the session. Please note that we're in the process of sending certificates, and it takes at least 8 to 12 working days for us to send the certificates, and all these sessions will be recorded, and these recordings will be uploaded to the CLT YouTube channel. That's it from my side. Over to you, Dr. Wasim.
Well, Islam and greetings from Lahore. Thank you so much. Actually, CLT. Thanks also my co-trainer, Dr. Fatma. And thanks to Dr. David Wesley, whose session we could actually attend and talk about introduction to digital humanities as an interdisciplinary research methodology. That was on 25th of June. Can you just the slide? Okay, so we understand that we are short of time, and it's like quite a pressure, but let me pick on quickly what we are doing. Known that digital means or tools are there always for us as well, I think our focus will be on the humanities and how research publication in the humanities is different from what actually is known as publication. So we would like to focus on the ethical and aesthetical principles, which of course for us bear quality in the humanities, and also that they go by the publication rules for humanities. We will also pick on why peer reviews are important for humanities publication. We also talk about the incentives, because we all know that we are under pressure always to be published. And then with all that is computational or digital, we know that artificial intelligence has become a very good resource for us to learn many things through it. But I think humanities bears with it something even more important, which could be aesthetical, which could be artisanal even. And that's why we name it A2, and artificial intelligence we name as A1. The assistive role of A1, of course, is very important, but we also try to trace is the next levels of intelligence, because there always is an intelligence that's somewhere hidden. So all the intuitive abilities that humans have, because I think that brings us closer to what actually is the purpose of humanities, liberal arts education. With all those institutional obligations that we have, we still focus on liberal arts education as our forte. So without further details regarding what digitization or digitalization may be, I think I would like to refer to Barry and Faggot-George, who talk about the information, the reconceptualization of the information in humanities. So if you go by this quote that is on the top, the hand, the mind, the heart working together can create extraordinary things. And that is what humanities does. It creates extraordinary things. So with the growing scope, call it very philosophical as well, which of course talks about the stack of information. That is the liberal arts education caters to the layers of absences actually that humanities deals with. So with all that, I think the quantitative and statistical is important, but I think we are more into the philosophical side of it. So I would like to actually refer to and would request all of you, all the registrants, to find out Gayatri Spivak's Hallberg address of 2025. I'm deliberately referring to it because I think it talks about, and the title that she picks on is Imperatives to Reimagine the Future. So the task of humanities is to reimagine. It reimagines the desires that we have, even related to the machinery that we innovate. So how do we learn differently? Perhaps that is more important. Humanities elaborates on change, which actually could be related to the rational or post-rational sciences, but taking us to the transcendental figuration of what we know or what we would like to know. So in many ways, one can see that it caters to the need of structural democracy, even if we talk about linguistics and language and the way we structure our conversations. I think there are deep down meanings and there is a playfulness of meaning in all script. So I think one other thing that Spivak refers to, and I would like to reiterate, is how to read. And I think that's very important for humanities people to know how to read, because only then they would be able to also know how to write. I think it's Toni Morrison, quoted by Spivak, where she points out the invisible ink behind what we see as the visible ink. And these are the areas actually that humanities points out. So it's about reimagining and reading and rereading. So with that, I think I also forwarded some articles like a new definition of the humanities, which talks about how actually we can, that humanities becomes a slippery field and how actually it challenges its own disciplines as well to go beyond the disciplinary understanding. Also, I shared with you the article, Reinventing the Humanities. So I think these readings give you an incentive about what to do beyond what we know. I have referred here Bowden, and because Bowden becomes important for us to talk about because it refers to the study of intelligence as generated by the machine. So I think our focus is not just artificiality of intelligence, but the intelligence itself. Also, I think how computers do actually, which we think they are doing beyond human capacity, but I think humans still could be doing things better than what machine does for us. Goodland and Baker actually warn us against the over-reliance on the auto. So it's okay to believe in the artificial and rely on the auto, but I think over-reliance on auto could lead to some sort of loss of the rudiments about knowledge itself that we need to know. So the final take on that would be that there is no need to surrender the human judgment, and that still is important for us. Coming to some other references, of course, artisanal intelligence, the way we are trying to deal with it now in terms of quality, in terms of aesthetics. We can go back to 19th century with Charles Bell talking about animal mechanics. It become important for us to also realize how the world of nature operates. But I think moving forward, artisanal intelligence brings us an effort to tear apart the market-driven art consumption. And that reminds me of Walter Benjamin and Adorno and their discussion about art in the age of mechanical reproduction. I think we are beyond mechanical now. We are in the digital age where reproduction is becoming overwhelming. How we control this reproduction and still believe in simple production. So I can go on and on, but I think I would like to refer to Frankensteinian dilemma that we face. It's good to embrace the machine before the machine embraces you too hard and squeezes you out, because I think that's what Frankenstein is about. So we need to keep our identity as humans as important as the identity of the machine could be in the future. There, of course, we were talking about the liberal arts model, and I think the intermediality that's coming with these technologies is very important in terms of transcultural and geographical even, the travels that we do through technology to understand what we still consider to be the knowledge. Given the current scenario that the globe is always has always been divided, but maybe now divided more between or amid north and the south, the global north and the global south. There are areas actually done through artificial intelligence that take us to the pre-colonial times, and I think it all depends upon how we deal with humanities in the geographical spaces that we live in, and how we pick on digital humanities as something that we have to rely on, but for what? So I think the division of the haves and have-nots, the capitalist or others, or the numerical manipulation that comes along, the digi-imperialism. So I think we can think in terms of our own positions and places where we are based. Are we into some kind of digital fascism, or there is data algorithm which is beyond the human? So I think the humanistic digitization becomes as important as digital humanities, and that is where humanities keeps warning us about. Now, of course, when we talk about digital humanities and artificial intelligence, very helpful even in terms of cross-disciplinary understanding, and there are areas like ELT or ESP, where we come up with special kinds of linguistic processes that we deal with. Could be non-monotonic reasoning or the concordance that comes along. Could be the field of medicine or cybernetics, whatever we are dealing with. They are all part of the knowledge, because that's why humanities very much welcomes artificial intelligence, but does not let it go with the values that actually humanities promotes. Again, the values of aesthetics and artisanal art, the crafts that actually come through other means as well. But above all, the human values and the humanity that actually humanities carries along. So I think these can be just great debates, and there are references given, some articles already given to you, and there are many more actually that are downloadable. But let's switch to what we can now think about: why publish? So let me, before we talk about publications, because I think Dr. Fatma has wonderful examples how AI is being used for the publication purposes. But my final, say, sort of not any advice, but suggestion would be, and I read it somewhere, that let us bring philosophy back to the doctoral degrees of philosophy, which are PhDs. So are we losing grip on philosophies that we deal with through humanities? This becomes an important question. From the very post-colonial perspective, or if we go by the binary East-West, I was just lately going through Plato and Aristotle and their importance from the theoretical perspective, or even philosophical perspective. But I think I also came across Al-Farabi or Ibn Rushd, and how they promoted knowledge more globally in terms of the way we try to divide the globe. So these become important positions for us, how actually we are trying to stick to what humanities demands. What are we thinking about? Because if it is about philosophy, that means it is about critical thinking. And I don't think we can lose ground on critical thinking just because somebody is thinking for us. Could it be the machine, of course? now. And that is where I think I go back to my point that we don't have to surrender human judgment. We got to judge ourselves by our own deeds, by our own deeds, which is, of course, related to publications here. Publications, of course, are very important. And I think Dr. Fatma can better pick on whether publication in humanities is a controlled art. I think I forwarded that article to you. In many ways, it is a controlled art, of course. Not everything that is to be published for humanities relates to, it's not always quantitative, to come back to a very simple point again. It can be quantitative, but it is not always to be quantitative. So going back to the stacks that are invisible, the stacks that are absent, the areas that actually are invisible are more important, become more important for our critical thinking purposes. And that is, I think, that deals with the publishing processes as well, how we work differently. So I have quoted here Angelica and Gabriel talking about knowledge delivery and the academic writing and the production of writing with alternatives. There is an alternative to aesthetics as well. How do we deal with alternatives? That is where humanities actually challenges what can be the common run, and where is it that actually humanities brings in newer ideas, challenging even the tools that we mostly use, which is AI, one of those. The significance of peer reviews, I don't want to get into the details. I think we all have them online, like DOI or PLOS or REF, and these are different ways of connecting with the researchers of the kind and having reviews from them. So this, of course, is a great facility through digital humanities or for digital humanities and the artificial intelligence as well, helping us out in that, how to connect in the wider range. That brings us to the open access landscapes, of course, and there are so many websites and so many softwares available. I think the biggest question that I would stop at would be, so what are we doing? Where is it that publishing industry itself stand in today's time? Where is it that we are now regarding, is it a conventional or traditional way of publication? Many things are now being published online, of course. So what we got to be aware about is maybe two things: authenticity and quality. So where are we publishing? Why are we publishing? So this paradigm shift actually, how AI is replacing in many ways the publication industry, despite its politics. I mean, which always still I think would be there because there is a politics between machine and man as well. So I think avoiding fake journals or not getting swayed by the kind of publication offers that are being made online. We got to be very much aware that technologies are there to help us, but not to compromise on quality. I think I will finally refer to Professor Ruth Boy's article, which I also forwarded to you for reading, and then also this article by Ajit and Jayopar, who talks about the benefits and the challenges that we are facing through AI. But Ruth Boy's question, what are we publishing for? I think the purpose for publishing must be known to the writers. And I think that is where I would say all publication got to be meaningful. And I think who can tell us how we can be more meaningful better than Dr. Fatma. So Dr. Fatma, over to you at that point, and just go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Vaseem. I'll be sharing my screen. All right. Assalamu alaikum and good morning. This is Fatima Sayyeda. And this morning we are actually talking about digital means and the humanities research publication. Now, Dr. Wasim has already focused upon research, the process of research, publication, risks, limitations, especially within the field of humanities. I'll be focusing more upon the digital means and how through the use of these digital means, the research and the process of publication within the field of humanities can be facilitated. How can it be helped? So the focus of my discussion would be on the three questions that I've taken from the abstract that we have already shared with you. The first question is, how is research writing in the humanities different? What ethical and aesthetic principles intersect for keeping quality in humanities research? And finally, is research writing for publication in the humanities a controlled art? So you can see that my focus will be on how in humanities in general and in literature, that's my subject in specific, writing is different. Either it's the creative writing or the research writing, academic writing, how is it different from other forms of writing? What are some of the ethical and aesthetic principles which are essential to the writing in literature, be it the creation of literature, the analysis and interpretation of literature, and then the research within the field of literature? And in this digitally advanced world, how to seek help from these digital tools and at the same time retain that ethical and aesthetic appeal that's very essential to the discipline of humanities, again in general, and to literature in specific. So if we look at, I think Dr. Wasim also talked about it, that we need to see on the nature of intelligence before we start looking at artificial intelligence or the human intelligence or the comparison of the two. If we look at the nature of intelligence that is, catered by the scholars within the field of artificial intelligence, we can see that most of the digital tools, the kind of intelligence that they exhibit, it's used in problem solving, in making calculations of large sums, answering quizzes, resolving puzzles, playing a game. And if it deals with a text, it still depends upon the coded and the programmed tasks. And this is how it deals with it. So in other words, we can say that it provides a prosthetic for human ingenuity. This is what Eric J. Larson says. So basically how artificial intelligence works is that it uses language, and then it formulates abstractions and concepts, and then finally it simulates these to answer a question or solve a problem. This is how it works. Now, in contrast to the way intelligence works in the artificial intelligence scenario, the human intelligence depends largely on imagination instead of simulation. So the literary scholarship is what depends upon thinking, upon creating, on learning and analyzing. And for these processes, we need something that is, if we want to infer meaning from a text, we will depend upon the emotional, social, situational, contextual, and so many other aspects that are somehow ignored in the quest of improving general intelligence. So we go beyond that general intelligence to look for meaning in a literary text. Also, we know that a literary text is polysemous. It has multiple meanings. It cannot be treated the way other formal systems work. Like, for example, if I give you one example of a formal system, mathematics. In mathematics, 2 plus 2 would be equal to 4, and that is the only answer that would be considered to be true. But in literature, it doesn't work like that. So one text may have multiple meanings. And in the post-modernist scenario, in the post-modernist world, we believe that the moment you think that you've grasped the truth actually changes. So, so there are multiple truths, and each one of the answer would be true as long as the text supports it. So what kind of faculty, then we'll think that what kind of faculty would be required to analyze or to create or to write within the field of humanities? So the answer would be that, okay, the artificial intelligence provides us the general intelligence, it provides us ingenuity, but what is missing here is the human intuitive faculties, which means the physical element, the biological element, the psychological intuitive faculties, which are then further cultured by the emotional and social context, which means that there is something human that is required to engage with all the disciplines that are there in the field of humanities, specifically literature. Now, I cannot talk about all the tools, but I'll be using one or two of these AI tools to see that how much help the scholars within the literary field, how much help can they seek from these AI tools to write. Two kinds of writing I'll be talking about. One, creative writing, that is producing, creating literature. And the other would be research writing, right? So the first sample that I've selected is, it's a poem. And the kind of experiment that I did with this was that I took Robert Burns' poem, A Red, Red Rose. This is just the first stanza of the poem. And I wanted to see that how human intelligence can be compared with the something that is created by the human intelligence can be compared with something that is generated by artificial intelligence. So Robert Burns is a famous poet, very passionate, full of feelings and emotions. Is what his poetry is like. So this first stanza reads like this. Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. Now, this is a poem that's talking about the feeling of love and how does it feel to the poet. This is something that is created by human intelligence. Now, I use this AI tool and it does create short stories and poems also. But right now I am giving an example from the poem generator. And the prompt that I gave to it, it gives a very detailed kind of option for a prompt. I mean, it would ask you what theme or topic of the poem should be. I said love. And then type of poem, what type of poem do you want it to write? Sonnet, I said. And then what should be the mood or emotion? And I said it should be passionate, full of feelings and emotions. And the keywords, it also asked about the keywords. What keywords do you want me to include? And I gave the keywords. And it also asked me what number of stanzas do you want me to create? And then I asked it to generate. And this is what it generated. Because of the shortage of time, I'll just focus on the first stanza again. You can see that, okay, I'll read it. In twilight's glow where whispered secrets dance, a love unfolds like petals of a rose. Each blush ignites a fervent, timeless trance, as heartless weave the tales that passion knows. So I wanted the poem to be passionate, so the word passion is included over here. I wanted the keywords like love and rose to be there, so those words are included. So on the face of it, it looks like a perfect poem, perfectly rhymed. You can see dance and trance and rose and nose. So it's a perfectly rhymed poem, creates some kind of impression, but the difference is there. So these tools are really very helpful. We can see that it can, this can be used. This tool, Toolsaday, for instance, can be used to have some ideas. So the literary scholar or the creative writer who wants to write, like Robert Burns, for instance, or any other romantic poet, so he or she can write, can get a poem from Toolsaday, but then the difference between the two poems, it is there. This kind of exercise also helps me in classes to let the students see that what is the difference between a human created writing in literature and an artificially generated writing that comes from a machine. So I'll not go into this, the second sample, which was from Shakespeare's, play. And then I used another tool to compare the two writings. But I'll go to the conclusion of the first sample, that you can see that how an informed use of the AI tools for conceiving, creating, And analyzing literary texts may be assistive in exploring newer trajectories in the field of literary studies. However, a blind and complete dependence on the same may be destructive for the creative abilities of the students. Furthermore, AI may be viewed as an assistance to and not as a replacement of the human intelligence. Now, this was about the creative writing. I'll quickly move to the second and last example that I'll be giving, writing literary review with AI tools, since this workshop was about research. So how is research writing in humanities different, and how much of it can be facilitated with the AI tools? And then I'll also do some fact checking of the theory. So AI tools for literature review, this is elicit.com. I'll quickly go through the process that the students or the scholars within the literary field can use to seek help from this digital tool. So Elicit actually helps you find papers to write literature review. So you can ask a research question, or you can simply give it the topic. I gave it the topic necropolitics, you can see, and it gave me the results. A kind of a summary of a literature review it produced for me, giving examples from top 4 research papers. Now I want to see, as a literary scholar, I think I need to see which papers they were. So I would ask it, and it would give me the papers. I simply can, click on this and go and read the papers and add to the literature review that is produced by Elicit.ai, or I can rewrite my own. That is the best option actually, because the kind of help or assistance that I could seek from it was to give me the best or the top relevant articles. It can further refine my research by, it gives me this option that I can choose from the publication year. Either I can say any year, or I can say that from, let's say, 2020 to 2024 articles are the ones that I want to focus upon. So it will give me those articles. Then I want to say that only Q1 or Q2 articles are the ones that I would need. So, and then there are other options also. So the prompt is also a very refined one, and it gives you the summaries of the abstracts of the individual articles also. So this is how we go about it. And at any time you can, filter, and you can, limit your research. You can ask it to give, for example, from 2010 to 2024 articles, and it will give you the articles as well as the summaries of the articles, so that you can choose from it and write your literature review. It also has the option of having the most relevant, most recent, least recent, most cited, least cited articles are also what you can search with the help of it, you see. So this is another tool, Mendeley. I cannot explain this one, but this is another one that you can, with the help of which you can find and add articles to your library, so that you can use them in your research. But again, we have to see that the literary scholars, especially our students, they make an informed and responsible use of artificial intelligence. So this is a small fact checking of the theory, and I've selected Lacan's theory, since it's most of the people would know Lacan's theory of the real, the imaginary, and the symbolic. Now, if we seek help from ChatGPT, for instance, that is the most commonly used artificial tool. So the imaginary, the symbolic, and the real, we can see the whole sequence of the ideas that were there in Lacan's essay. It is reversed. The real comes at the end, and the imaginary that was in the middle, that comes to the fore. So the order of importance is disturbed over here. Then this is what ChatGPT generated as the understanding of the real, which when I compared with Lacan's the real, has not included all the important points. For instance, Lacan's the realm of the real, is the one where the baby has no distinction between the self and the other. Whereas ChatGPT gave me this understanding of the real, that it does not explain the real lies outside of language, right? and the original unity. There's no absence of loss, no need of language. These points were simply eliminated. If we look at the imaginary, the next stage of Lacan, the difference and the mirror stage, that's a very common, a very popular concept of Lacan, in which Lacan says that at some point during this period, the baby will see itself in a mirror. Usually the other person is there saying to the baby, yes, look, it's you, it's baby. Do you see baby? So the mirror image, the whole person, the baby mistakes as itself, is known in psychoanalytic terminology as an ideal ego, whole self who has no insufficiency. So ego, id, and ideal ego, these are the major aspects that Lacan focuses upon. Interestingly, ChatGPT, while talking about the mirror stage, does not mention the ideal ego, does not even mention ideal ego, which is an important concept. So if for a literary scholar who is only relying upon ChatGPT for understanding Lacan's concept so that it can be used in research, would lose something. Because in Lacan's theory, there is a clear recognition of the child thinking of itself as a goal and then entering into the symbolic. So the last point of Lacan's, the symbolic, this is generated by ChatGPT. I wish we could have time to read through it and see that how ChatGPT, focuses upon some aspects that Lacan would not focus upon. But then, for convenience, I've summed it up over here. For Lacan, the symbolic order is the structure of language itself. For Lacan, Freud's angry father becomes the name of the father or the law of the father, to which you submit them. Again, the concept of ideal ego. Whereas ChatGPT said that the symbolic is the domain of language, laws, social structures, and the symbolic order that organizes society and human relationships. It's a very ambiguous and vague concept of what Lacan very clearly has put forward in his essay. So the order is reversed, the order of the concepts, the meaning is somehow lost if we consult only the AI tools for our research. So the major takeaways from this analysis, these two analyses, were that ChatGPT or the other tools that I was using, they did give an overview of the theory, but not in the right order sequence. And then the key details were left out, which were necessary in understanding the theory. As a conclusion, I would say that new trajectories have emerged in this research within the literary field, and the intuitive faculties required for the creation and analysis and research of within the literary fields, they can not be replaced by generative AI. But AI tools may be studied as a great means of assistance to the literary scholars, but not as a replacement of human intelligence. And an overdependence or a blind usage of by the literary scholars of the AI tools, it may risk the ethical and the aesthetic quality of research within the field of humanities in general and literature in specific. So these are the references that we used, and thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you. So now we have opened up the chat for taking audience questions, and now I'm just going to, ask a few initial questions from you. There are people asking what's the difference between writing for humanities and writing for social sciences. And for that, I strongly encourage all of you to attend the next webinar as well, in which a resource person is going to talk about how to write in the field of social sciences. So briefly, if Dr. Wasim Anwar, if you could just briefly talk about the key differences in writing for humanities and writing for social sciences. How do they differ?
Well, I think I already just referred quickly to that most of the time humanities brings awareness about the areas that we mostly lose to be considered abstractions. So thinking is an abstract activity. So where is it that we find connected to the layers of abstractions, which also relate to the aesthetic models as well? is something that comes under the humanities. Now, humanities, as in general, of course, it's very difficult also to just categorize the disciplines related to the humanities, because talking about human body could be more related to biology. But the way humanities would talk about human body would be altogether different in terms of its aesthetics, or not its exact functions, but maybe something more that is not visible in the body to us as such. Social sciences could more be contextualized with relation to the sociology of body, maybe. But I think the aesthetics of body could be more related to the field of humanities. So there is no strict category where we can say, okay, we talk about what we talk about humanities is not possible in other disciplines. But I think to be very understandable, I would pick on quantity versus quality. How much quantity and how much quality we are talking about. I think we are more prone in humanities towards quality, the values, something that we don't actually consider to be important, but they are very important for us as humans. So what does it mean to be a human? Could itself be a good question to think about from the humanities perspective. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Dr. Fatma, would you like to add something to this?
Yes, there was actually another question about the ethical usage of AI. So I would consider that as well. And what Dr. Wasim was saying, yes, within humanities, we are concerned with with the ethics and the aesthetics and the quality. So how much of it should be used? I think I've talked about it in detail, but this just reminded me of this essay by Immanuel Kant, What is Enlightenment? And while he's talking about what is enlightenment, he talks about how some of us are so lazy to think and to acquire this enlightenment, and we depend upon so many other people so they can think for us. They may be our leaders, they may be the religious scholars, they may be so many other people that we follow. They may be the influencers, on these different social media forums. This is the new followership that the young people especially are falling into. I think that we consider that it's very easy to follow someone instead of thinking about things ourselves and developing an idea. And these excellent digital tools which are helping us in different ways, and I've explained some of these ways in which we can use them, they actually are making some of the students falling in the danger of blindly following them, copy pasting the material that you get from there. So you are actually in a way letting someone else, and that too a machine, to think on your behalf. So I think this essay by Immanuel Kant, What is Enlightenment, becomes very relevant, that how you yourself as a human agent, you need to imagine and then create. And this is the difference between the writings within humanities and outside humanities. We actually don't want to lose this human within the humanities. This human element is the element that Dr. Wasim is talking about when he's talking about the ethics or the aesthetics or the quality. So yes,
I would like to quickly add to that it's about whether we let machine define us, because we are now being more defined by the machines, or are we letting our own consciousness define us? And perhaps that is the difference, where humanities gives you a warning that don't rely much on machine. Define yourself as humans. So.
Thank you so much. So in simpler words, writing for humanities focuses on human perspectives, Whereas in social sciences, you look at different social phenomena and explore those through data and research methods. And writing for social sciences is a bit more structured compared to writing in humanities. This is my own understanding. So the next question that I have here is, it's directed to Dr. Wasim. Could you please highlight Adorno's view on aesthetics? Nowadays, art loses its ontological position. We are using art with discipline rather than with beings. Any thoughts on that?
Well, that's again a very philosophical take, but yeah, most of the discussion between Benjamin, those who know, I'm sorry, I mean, if some people don't know, that Benjamin and Adorno had a great debate on what actually art is. So there is this phrase used as aura. The question is not, and I'm trying to translate art as a textbook. So the author, as the writer of the textbook, might have a meaning to convey. But I think what opens it more is the reader in terms of finding the deeper meanings which relate to other layers as well. Whatever else it could be, the aura of any interpretation lies in the text itself. And that is where I tried to point out, Toni Morrison, quoting Toni Morrison through Spivak, of course, that there is a visible ink in the text, but there are more invisible inks in the text. What are those invisibilities actually is something that human consciousness can point out. I think Dr. Fatma's example on Lacan could be very relevant here, that you just, if you over-rely on machine telling you, you lose the gist of it. So maybe again, coming back to my philosophical take on that would be, are we connecting with the aura of the art? And that is where actually Adorno and Benjamin warn us about. It's the aura of the art that we got, and that could be very invisible, but that's where we connect with human consciousness. So thank you.
Thank you so much. So building on Lacan as structured language, we have a question for you, Dr. Fatma. Could you please explain the concept of subject in the light of Lacan as structured language?
Now we need a whole, session for Lacan. Lacan is a very complicated writer, and that's why the students would go to the AI tools to, to make an effort to understand it. But my point over here is that what Lacan is saying about the language is what is ignored somehow in what ChatGPT gives us the idea of. So we can have a separate session on Lacan if you like to, because that would require a lot of time. Talking about Lacan, there was another question. What is one of the in the chat? One of the participants, he pointed out that what is the use of AI then if we cannot use it or if we cannot rely on it? So the point is that we are not supposed to rely on it completely. I think we need to co-create with these digital tools, with the AI tools, because with these digital advancements, we need to coexist. We are actually coexisting with these machines these days. We cannot just, not look at them or say that we are not concerned with them and they are totally useless. No, they are not. I've already explained through 2 examples that how these tools can be used to generate ideas which can further be explored and double checked through your own readings. So I think the best solution is co-creation, co-constitution, and co-construction, right? And I'm open to the idea of Lacan as a separate, session if you deem it appropriate.
Thank you so much. Many of you have posted questions relating to the use of AI. Some of you have asked that to what extent should we use AI? You see, to get the awareness about tools, I strongly suggest that you go to our YouTube repository of recorded webinars and go through the second webinar in which we have talked about different AI tools for different phases of research. So there we have talked about specific AI technology as an assistant for your research journey. Coming to the point where how much is required or how much is allowed, it all depends on the purpose for which you're producing this academic writing. You see, if you want to get it published, then naturally you cannot. Somebody asked if I can simply copy something from the AI and paste it in my publication. So of course you can't do that because that's plagiarism, right? So you have to maintain academic integrity. Maintaining academic integrity has different standards in different journals. So different journals allow different extent of secondary material. So you have to, of course, go through the journal requirement before you conclude that this is academically ethical or not ethical.
May I
Apart from
quickly,
that,
may I
yeah,
quickly just add
sure.
two things here that we all realize that we are not living in the conventional humanities time period, but the significance of convention does not die, number one. Number two, that we are much reliant on the digital humanities side of it. Again, that is something we see from the pedagogical point of view, an over-reliance. That's why I think we see most of the time students coming up, what you just said, plagiarized material. So these two extremes, we understand that we now live in a hybrid humanities time. The question, how much we rely on technology, I think what we are trying to highlight here is the aesthetical value that cannot be compromised, the quality that cannot be compromised, yet artificial intelligence is being very helpful and being very assistive in terms of letting us dream what we want to dream. A very short example, I would say, like Dr. Fatma was talking about the red rose. I don't know, we don't have the same red in our mind. I was just coming today and I was looking at a car which was metallic red and it appealed to me a lot. But there are other reds as well. So I think these are small things, but not unnoticeable and not ignorable for humanity. That's why we go into the depth where mostly maybe other disciplines don't go to. And we think more, maybe we have to think differently as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's all about preserving the uniqueness that we all have as humans. So thank you so much for this insightful session. Just to give you an overall figure of participation, your webinar received participation from 20 different countries representing Asia, European region, North America, South America, and African region. So congratulations to both of you on conducting such a successful webinar for the audience. And for the audience, I just want to remind you of the next webinar that's scheduled today at 1 p.m. in which we are going to explore academic writing, especially for social sciences. So join us again at 1 p.m. and thank you so much
Thank
for
you so much for
both our
inviting us.
resource person